I would love them unconditionally because I maybe see a part of myself that I've changed, and I understand how hard it is to change, or I understand that they're going to have their moment when they're ready to change. And so I think it's really interesting, because what I've learned over the years is that no new information can enter the nervous system that's not equal to the person's emotional state. You can give them the answer, the right answer to the problem, and they won't hear it because it's not relevant, equal to the emotion that they're experiencing. What we've learned is that if you take people in, let's just say 7 days, just cross the river of change, go from the old self to the new self, immerse yourself fully into it, break free from the chains of those emotions that keep you anchored to the past, overcome those habits and behaviors that keep you programmed into a predictable future, overcome all those aspects of your beliefs that keep you stuck in a certain state in terms of how you're thinking, those hardwired perceptions. 7 days, break free. And normally the person has the answer to their own question. I think that's when it becomes really relevant, when you have your own insight, your own epiphany, when it's your own truth because you've worked to get beyond it. People, when they analyze themselves or analyze their life within some disturbing emotion, when we looked at the real-time brain scans, we saw that they were actually making their brain worse. We're driving their brain further out of balance, overthinking, overanalyzing. And so when you analyze something within an emotion is a record of the past. So you're thinking in the past, the solution could never be there. Free the person from that emotion, and of course they see it from a greater level of consciousness.
For all those people listening right now that are like me, that try and fix, because through what they think of as love, maybe I'm doing it for other reasons, but what could they do to be a better ally or friend or partner to that individual? Based on everything you've said, that maybe they need their own moment, or their emotional system isn't in regulation with their information.
God, anytime we want to do anybody a great service is to help them out of their emotional state. I mean, it's not a lecture that's going to help them. Come on, let's go do something. Come on, let's go. Just get them doing something, just breaking themselves out of that state. It's not like the answer. It's they have to change their state to get the answer. So if I were to do anything, I would want to help them shorten their emotional reaction, to get beyond the emotion, whatever that is. And I wouldn't be a lecture. It would be something fun that we did, or something unusual that we did, or just trying something. Let's just do something. And I think showing people what love looks like, show them what joy looks like, show them what happiness looks like. I think people notice that. I think they pay attention to that. It gives them permission to do the same. So maybe just show up as the person you would want to be around if you were feeling that way.
When you look at the state of the world at the moment and the direction of travel, the trajectory of, technology and the way we're living our lives and the decisions we're making at a collective level, what are the things that most concern you?
Well, I always ask myself, is it getting better or is it getting worse? And I think in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever experienced the world as it is today, just with so many variations of so many things. And I question the information that I'm receiving. And I think that we need some type of intervention as a species. We need a change. We need an intervention in some way.
You question the information you're receiving from where, and what kind of intervention are you suggesting?
I just don't know that the information that I am exposed to, or information that people are exposed to, is the truth. I just question that these days, and because you can get so many degrees of it, and so many, and I don't know if it's based in altruism, for the goodness of human beings, or for self-interests, and I think I think people are waking up more to the understanding that something has to change, for us to really survive as a species.
And what are the symptoms of the cultural disease that you're talking about? What are they?
A lack of connection, We're in 3D reality, connecting, communing, cooperating, creating. I think those are things that I think if you keep people in survival and you keep them in fear and you keep them at war and you keep them angry and you keep them in pain and you keep them confused and you can control their attention by controlling their emotions, I think we're gonna, we may not make it, as a species. But I think that when people truly come together in an elevated state, I think it's collective networks of observers that determine reality. And I don't think it's the number of people. I think it's the most coherent in heart and brain that begin to produce effects. So the coming of a new consciousness has to be a collective. It's not one person. It's a collective group of people. And I believe that you get enough people collectively coming together that we can hopefully steer it in a different direction.
Hopefully.
Yeah. How about you?
Are you optimistic?
I am. I'm optimistic because I think people by nature are good. I think there's goodness in human beings. And I have the privilege of traveling around the world, and I see that. And it transcends countries and cultures and races and gender. It transcends diet. It transcends all that stuff. It's just when people are happy with themselves and in love with life, I think their natural tendency is to give. And I think we're wired to do that when we're not in survival.
When we're not in survival. When you use this word survival, are you talking about the fight or flight state that we many of us live in?
Yeah, I would say that living in stress is living in survival, and stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of homeostasis. Stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of balance. The stress response is what the body innately does to return itself back to balance. The problem is that if you keep turning on that fight or flight system, you keep turning on that emergency system, it'll actually cause people to stay out of balance, and that imbalance becomes the new balance, and they're headed for some type of disease, some type of breakdown. No organism can tolerate emergency mode for an extended period of time, and when you're in survival and that primitive system is switched on, it's really about the self. When you're in survival, you have to take care of yourself. So the emotions of anger, and hostility, and aggression, and competition, and frustration, and resentment, and envy, and jealousy, and insecurity, and fear, and anxiety, and hopelessness, and powerlessness, and depression, and pain, and suffering, guilt, and shame are all derived from the hormones of stress, and psychology calls them normal human states of consciousness. Those are altered states of consciousness. And when we're in that state,